What's up, fam? They say that when you marry someone, you marry their entire family. There's a lot of truth in that. In reality, you don't just have to deal with the in-laws. There are siblings-in-laws, their respective spouses and children, grandparents, step-parents, and ex-spouses too. So, is it possible to marry your spouse's family without losing your mind? Let's find out today on rLounge. Up first, the ring to rule them all. She wanted to teach me a lesson. For context, husband and I have been having to live with mother-in-law, his mom, short term because of financial issues, and she and I don't always get along. This sort of controlling behavior is common and is part of the problem. So, since I'm unable to work due to health issues, I tend to do most of the housework to help earn my keep in a sense. A good 90% of it. And because my engagement and wedding ring has a bunch of nooks and crannies, I started taking it off and setting it aside while I did the dishes, so I wouldn't get any food bits or soap scum in the crevices. Mother-in-law apparently thought this was unacceptable. About the third time I did this, she took my ring while I wasn't looking and hid it. She hid my engagement wedding ring. I went into a panic searching for it for a solid few hours, fully freaking out until she brought it to me, told me she'd hidden it away, and said it was to teach me not to take it off. I still haven't yet, and the ring has suffered for it. There's gunk in the crevices now. I don't have time to get it properly cleaned. Some of the paint has faded from the soaps as it was a cheaper ring, because husband understandably couldn't afford something fancy. But I'm too afraid to take it off again. I don't want her hiding it on me. It sounds like your mother-in-law has some serious control issues, OP. Since she can't get you to respect what authority she thinks she has, she tightens the reins and tries to teach you a lesson. Your toxic mother-in-law loves to tear people down. She does it in a way so that you'll start questioning yourself before you question her. You'll wonder if you're being too sensitive or overreacting. You're not, OP. You're reacting like any normal human being would to being attacked or disrespected. Putting you down makes her feel better about herself and allows her to have a sense of entitlement. Don't fall into the trap. Your mother-in-law simply exploits your insecurities. The more insecure you are, the more hurt you'll feel by her remarks. The more confident you are, the more you'll feel like everything she says is total rubbish. A confident woman knows her worth, and the only opinion that truly matters to her is her own. Be that woman. Would you stand up to mother-in-law if you were in this scenario? Let us know your thoughts. While you do that, we'll check in with the community. Comfortable Gas 798 says, get a chain, even a cheap one, to hang your ring on your neck. She will have to fight you to get it. Our next thought comes from Uno Lay. This is unacceptable behavior. You're not a child who needs to be taught a lesson, and what you do with your ring is none of her business. Period. Where is your significant other in all this? What did he say? Honestly, it's up to him to keep his mother in check. Positive Platform 31 chimes in, is this a joke? You need to talk to your husband about this. That's not okay. DOP replies, sadly not. She's also tried to control what I eat, forced me to learn to cook and sew because she thought I needed to learn new skills. I already know how to cook and sew, mind you, just not to her standards. And even forced and pressured me into applying for different programs I did not want to apply for. Dismissed my health issues, both mental and physical, and when I tried to set boundaries with her, she got mad and basically told me that I was being childish for trying to set boundaries. Husband has only recently started taking my side, more on this issue. This next mother-in-law has us questioning our sanity. Mother-in-law wants a post-wedding prenup? Hello, new here, but I needed some perspective. I got married this year with no prenup. However, my sister-in-law recently told me that my mother-in-law wants to sign her house over to my partner so that when mother-in-law passes away, my partner gets her house. The catch is, mother-in-law also wants me to sign a paper that states the house is only my partner's and I cannot have a legal claim on it. Sister-in-law says that father-in-law had her husband sign the same paper before they got married, and he did with no problems because he never intends to divorce her or try to take father-in-law's house from sister-in-law. As my sister-in-law told me this story, I thought, okay, sounds good. I don't feel like I have any legal rights to mother-in-law's house anyway. It's not mine. But later that week, a similar conversation was being had at work about a coworker's house and prenup. I started to overthink about signing this paper, and I think I'm uncomfortable with it. I understand her wanting to make sure my partner is protected and has her property. But that also means I will not have my name on the house I'll eventually live in with our children, and that feels uncomfortable as we just had our vows earlier this year. Am I being unreasonable, or is my mother-in-law? She tends to do a lot of manipulation tactics and head games, and I feel like this is one of them, and I'm just falling for it. But would you be comfortable living in a home where you have no rights over? For reference, my mother-in-law is older and not healthy, with many medical problems, and we've had scares about her passing away recently. I honestly think prenups are a healthy thing, OP. I wouldn't take this personally. Ultimately, if anything happens to your significant other, God forbid, and the house has already been passed to you, more than likely the house will end up in your name because of your relations with your partner. It could be malicious of your mother-in-law, but if you don't plan on divorcing from your husband, I don't think there's anything to worry about. If you feel uncomfortable about it and not having a say in what happens to the property if it ends up in your significant other's hands, be super transparent with your significant other about how you feel. There's a lot of gray areas here, but ultimately, you need to have a discussion with your significant other and go over pros and cons. Your significant other will listen to your concerns. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. How would you go about this? I can tell you what Ruth Barb would say. Not the a-hole. Talk to your husband, get an attorney. I'm sure you can negotiate an agreement that says you won't get it in case of a divorce. But if he dies and you have kids, you get to keep it and raise mother-in-law's grandchildren there. The OP replies, I'm very young and I don't think we have an attorney money. But I love your recommendation about a clause where if my partner dies, I will be protected. Thank you. Ruth Barb shoots back, understood that attorney money is hard to come by, but it could be the best money you've ever spent. $500 to $1,000 to assure you have a home for life. Good luck. One more thought from Oh Wise One. This is complicated and you must get an attorney. Give you some examples. Is the house fully paid for or still a mortgage? Do you get a percentage of the appreciation of the house? Get a valuation now, and then if you divorce, what is the value then? What if the divorce is his fault and he cheats? You should get something. What about monthly payments? If he gets it all, then he pays everything including utilities and you save your money in case you divorce. These are things you need to think about. No one asked for this next in-law's opinion. Sister-in-law rant about baby names. Anyone else have a self-obsessed sister-in-law or just an in-law with too many opinions on baby names? My sister-in-law, partner's sister, named both of her children's first and middle names after old family names from their side. Her husband's only input was the last name. My partner and I were discussing baby names, and I mentioned that my family has a tradition that every boy's name includes a certain old family name somewhere in the mix. Let's use Jacob as the example. Jacob is my great-grandfather's middle name, grandfather's and father's first name, brother's first name, one nephew's first name, two nephews' middle name, and various cousins and second cousins' name or middle name. You get the point. They don't all get called Jacob though. Some go by their first names, some go by nicknames, or even variations of Jacob. Jake, JJ, Jack, etc. This set off my sister-in-law for a whole rant, and she snarled on and on about how Jacob is an ugly name and we should leave that in the past, and not every tradition needs to be honored. My partner defended me and the name, saying she's picked out some cute first names that will flow nicely with the middle name Jacob, if we even have a boy. Sister-in-law proceeded to attempt to get brother-in-law and various family members to go in on teasing the name Jacob, and went so far as to say if we name our boy Jacob, she will never call him that and will come up with hideous nicknames, as she said. My partner pointed out how she used family names for her children and what's so wrong about us doing it. Her answer, our family has appropriate and classy names, not odd common names and weird traditions. She then recommended other names from her side of the family for our boy if we even have a boy, like William or Benjamin. Like those aren't common? Don't even get her started on my partner wanting to name the baby after my sister if it's a girl. Honestly, OP, who is your sister-in-law to even offer you advice or her unsolicited opinion on what you name your child? It's none of her business. It's your baby and that's that. It has no implication on her or your brother-in-law's lives at all. Don't give them any more energy and don't even give it a second thought. The choice is yours. Let's see what the community weighed in with this. Starting with 3-ring crap show. Decoy names immediately. Crotchland for a girl and taint for a boy. Seriously, it's none of her business. If she keeps it up, it won't be a problem because your children don't spend time with people who disrespect their parents or are cruel about their names. Next thought from BDP. We never discussed our kids' names with relatives. When they asked, we said, it will be Alice Cooper for a girl or Gordon Shumway for a boy, for our firstborn. You should teach your little one to not react when your sister-in-law calls them hideous nickname, and when she rants about disrespecting her, tell her that respect is no one-way street. Finally, our last mother-in-law seems to think her daughter-in-law's vows weren't only directed to her son, but the family as well. Marrying your spouse versus marrying the family? Do you feel marriage is about marrying your partner or marrying the partner plus their family? I vote for team partner. I do not understand why it's expected to start calling mother-in-law mom, treat his family like my own family, etc. after marriage. I am cordial and friendly with them, but do not like interfering too much in their business, and I expect the same. However, I feel like the society and thereby mother-in-law expects so much more out of me. Why is that normal? Why can I not just love my husband and that's that? To provide some background, my husband and I do not live with his family, but visit them on an annual basis for a few weeks. My spouse is so different from his family, especially mother-in-law. He's kind, patient, non-controlling, and carefree. Mother-in-law has good thoughts, but I find her controlling, manipulative, and ego-driven. For example, she plans my daycare for me when I'm visiting and does not even ask if I'm okay with the plan. I do not like these qualities in a person, and it drives me nuts that I need to put up with that just because I'm married and love her son. I'm honestly battling between calling her out and just dealing with it, ignoring it. This is how my husband deals with her. How do I win this battle in my head? Thoughts? When you say I do, OP, you're opening your heart to embrace a group of people who love and care about your spouse and therefore have some natural right to a relationship with you. That said, while we should always try to maintain a healthy relationship with our partner's family members, we can discriminate when it comes to deciding the level of influence certain family members have on our own family unit and the level of intimacy of those relationships. So yes, marriage involves loving each other's families, but our marital commitment to our spouse is a higher priority, and that's an important difference. If you have to tell your mother-in-law no on some issues, you should consider giving the green light on other matters to balance things out. Now let's check in with the community. First up, Lady Legacy 15. I believe you marry into the family, not the family. You didn't take vows with his family, you took it with him. You are building a life with him, not his family. Creating a family unit with him, not his family. Yes, they can be involved, but to a certain extent. I have a similar issue, but my in-laws made it clear I'm not part of their family, so I have accepted it. My mother-in-law is worse, manipulative, passive-aggressive, controlling, so I've cut my losses. Our next thought comes from Curly Gel. At the end of the day, if it comes down to you and him, they will choose him. So no, you definitely didn't marry his family. As for the mother-in-law planning things, I would literally just say, oh no, thanks, I already have something else we're doing. Thank you though. And just smile and act innocent. The more you ignore and let her have her way, the more she will try to cross those boundaries. Our next thought comes from Buttercup 303. You are the wife of their son. You are not their bonus daughter. You can't be their bonus daughter because their allegiance is to their son, not you. Treating you like a daughter is a way of bringing you into the fold so they can influence you. Keep the information pipeline to their son open. If he won't tell them anything, they will get you to confide in them. Or it could be that they want you to be like a daughter to them. You can't be their bonus daughter because you are the wife of their son. Your relationship with them is through your husband. Your role is to be polite and engage in small talk when in their presence and follow your husband's lead for the rest. My mother-in-law suggested I call her mom. I said, that's what I call you, hubby's first name, Mom. She said, no, you can just call me Mom. I said, I'm sorry, but the mom title is reserved for me. There's only one person in my life that I call Mom, the woman who raised me. When I call you, hubby's first name, Mom, I am cherishing the fact that you are his mom and I wouldn't have him without you giving birth and raising me. That was the end of her asking me to call her mom. Here's where bonus daughter can be a train wreck. My mom treated my sister-in-law like a bonus daughter to the point where I was a bit jealous, but I had moved away and she filled a hole in my mom's heart. And then, my a-hole brother cheated. My mother was beside herself with anger, disappointment, and embarrassment that her son had did this. She took sister-in-law's side in the disaster. My sister-in-law loved that my mom was on her side and used that to torture my brother and threaten custody issues, turning the divorce into a train wreck. My mom finally realized that she had to side with her son because regardless of what he did, he was her child. She had to side with her son and her grandchildren. Society doesn't necessarily expect this. People sometimes don't understand where the natural boundaries should be and why they should be. The rules and guidelines were here for a reason, but it seems like more and more people don't understand why there needs to be lanes, rules, and guidelines. There are lines painted on the roads so that people know where the boundary is and crossing it can lead to an accident. Before there were lines on the road, there would be accidents because people didn't understand where the boundaries were. Now that we have had boundaries, People seem to think that they aren't needed or too restrictive, not understanding what they were preventing in the first place. Thank you for joining us here at rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe. Take it one step further and hit that little bell icon so you don't miss out on your next video. As always, we value you. If you have feedback on today's content, please let us know in the comments below. See you next time.